Here at the beginning of the year, we're going to be offering you a webinar called How to Find Clarity When the Fog Rolls In. And at the beginning of the year, this is a common experience where we're driving along and it gets foggy, and that's kind of a good metaphor for how we might feel at the beginning of the year. So Terry, tell us a little bit more. What about this when the fog rolls in?
Well, we drew the image from a book that Rick Hayhurst wrote a few years ago entitled The Right Mountain. He's a Calgarian, and he took on the exercise of climbing Mount Everest with his son. So he writes this book about their experience. And at one point, he tells the story of them journeying at a certain point beyond Kathmandu. They go through a valley and this beautiful blue sky day. And all of a sudden, fog banks roll in. And he said, it's almost like in a matter of seconds, you find yourself in the thick fog where you can barely see the hand in front of your face.
Wow.
And it's an apt analogy of, he says, of the journey of life. Some days are blue sky, everything is clear. We have clarity. But what do you do when the haze gathers around you and you're confused? And in the confusion of daily life and leadership, you barely can see your hand in front of you. What's interesting is the story illustrates you don't stop. You have to continue to journey, but you do so differently. And you have to do so in perhaps a more careful way than when the skies are clear.
Yeah.
So this webinar will provide some practical help on how to find clarity and better perspective in times of cloudiness, times of confusion. I think that's where we're at.
So what are a couple of questions that you're going to cover exactly in the webinar?
We're going to deal with, why is clarity needed more than ever? I think we need to simply raise the issue that we live in times of misinformation, disinformation, more distraction,
Yes.
more confusion. We find ourselves more in the haze than ever. And why is clarity needed then more than ever? And also, how can we begin to frame a practical discipline that I refer to as a practical discipline that changes everything?
Cool.
And that is this matter of getting clarity, and particularly the balcony. And we'll talk about the balcony, and we've got a deep dive coming that relates to that as well.
So what will they come away with if they come to the webinar?
Well, I think a renewed appreciation for the necessity of paying better and more careful attention in a world of less certainty and more confusion. So that's going to be the main takeaway.
That's great. And we'll have a couple of documents for you as well. So this will be a good one, folks. And we look forward to seeing you in the webinar, How to Find Clarity When the Fog Rolls In.